Good afternoon, Main Streeters. It's Wednesday at 1, so it's time for our meditative moment. And yet again, I'm not ready for it. 1 o'clock sneaks up on me. I just got out of a district Zoom meeting where we were talking about Advent and Christmas Eve and what churches can do to model the Christian behavior, which is caring for the least and the most vulnerable amongst us, right? And pivoting and changing all of those wonderful plans we had for in-person Christmas Eve services or in-person prayer vigils or those kind of things that were indoor, and that the numbers now say that's just not, you can't do that safely. There's too much risk involved with the increased numbers, and that puts too great a burden on the most vulnerable and on our healthcare workers and on our public health officials who are stressed out over the continued insistence of some groups to meet in person indoors. So I wanted to talk today about our Stewardship series, which is coming to a close this Sunday. I have a lot more material than 1 week left, so I'm sad to see it come to an end. I've always enjoyed stewardship as a conversation because it has been one of those areas that has helped me and my husband grow the most in our spiritual lives, is to learn how to give out of a sense of abundance and not out of scarcity, to learn to trust and to make giving one of those ways that increases my understanding of my spirituality and my sense of community. I did this, our journey with tithing began in a little church, a little reconciling church in Atlanta, Georgia, with an old couple who was giving this stewardship witness. And now as I look back, I think maybe they weren't so old. They had white hair. Maybe they were in their 70s. 70s doesn't really sound old anymore. But they talked about when they were just starting off as a couple. Before Bill had even gotten his first job, and Bill was a Baptist, and Velma was a United Methodist woman, so Methodist and Baptist coming together, and they talked about, before he even got his first job, that they talked about as a couple tithing to the church, to actually both churches. And I thought that was an interesting concept because, I come from a family with a spouse who's finance and accounting and math. And so from a accounting and math perspective, tithing or giving back 10% to God when you don't even have an income is complicated math. But that was what they had committed themselves to. And they had talked about how throughout their lifetimes they had grown to beyond tithing and what that had meant to them, but how that had started off as a founding principle in their marriage and in their life, that they were committed to the church. And it helped them over the years when they didn't agree with the denominations they were belonging to, or they didn't agree with a particular pastor, or they didn't particularly get along with somebody who was on a team with them, but they were committed to giving to the church. And it drew them into that community, and it reminded them that they were part of that longer legacy of a community of faith that was beyond just the external circumstances of that moment, but drew them into the longer stream of faithful people over time. And that's what it's been for us. It has been this commitment that has increased our trust, because we've had to trust that there will be enough, even in those times when we didn't think there would be enough, and we have prayerfully discerned or sacrificially given a number that we weren't sure we could meet. That has made all the difference in Steve and I's life. So we commend that to you as something that can help you, that can tie you to the community, that can tie you to God, that can increase your faith and your trust level and your understanding of blessing and abundance, even in a time when it feels like we're in a model that's very scarcity model. You know, it's we don't have enough time, we don't have enough income, we don't have enough sleep, we don't have enough peace in our minds with what's going on in the country and what's going on with COVID. But amidst all of that, I invite you to lean into the sense that you might trust that there's something more there. And in that something more, I ask you to prayerfully discern how you might fill out your pledge card. How this might be a signal to yourself and to your community that your hope is not frayed, your trust is not torn, that we rely on a seamstress God who has knit us together, who is that each of us are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that we are truly bound together like a quilt. We all have our own little varied gifts. Each of our squares is very different looking and very differently crafted, but we are all a part of the larger community of faith. So I invite you to fill out your prayerfully fill out your stewardship witness, your card for the coming year, and then bring that by tomorrow between 1 and 5 to the church so that we can bless all of our gifts, all of our pledges together, so that we can consecrate them to God. Because I wonder right now what kind of message the church has for the community. What do we bring? And I think we bring Christ. I think we can offer Christ. We can offer a model that says we are bigger than this moment in history. We are part of this long legacy of hope that is a practice more than a mindset, more than an emotion, but we are a part of this bigger piece that says we have something to offer that can center us and keep us kind of as a non-anxious presence in a community that's full of anxiety and stress. We can offer to the community a grander sense of something bigger that we are a part of. And we have these fabulous little quilt magnets that Pam Brenizer and her team have made for everyone so that you can know that your church community is with you every time you step to the refrigerator and you see that lovely little refrigerator magnet. Know that your community is grateful for the spiritual discipline that you have taken on in tithing or taking a step beyond tithing or whatever it is you prayerfully discern on your card to give for this next year. I pray a blessing upon your giving, and I look forward to consecrating all of our gifts this Sunday in worship.